Hello, welcome. Welcome to Everyday Yoga with Amber. That would be me, I'm Amber. And today we're going to do a nice combination of a gentle flow, so something a little bit more slow moving, also with maybe a little bit more holding, also with conjunction of a guided meditation. Guided meditation surrounded, I would say, particularly around stress. I think that's something collectively that we all could say that we relate to, whether it's stress related from work or family or relationships or just the kind of time that we're in right now. So I thought it'd be a perfect way to be able to find some calmness and some relaxation through what can be quite a stressful time. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. If you're used to practicing with me, especially in person, this is going to be a little bit of a different setup. I'm going to have us start standing. We are going to be doing a class that ends with a guided relaxation, a guided meditation. So it'll be a little bit longer where we'll be still and on our backs in a more like Shavasana type posture. So I figured starting the class with a little bit more movement, building a little bit more stability and a little bit of strength in the body to kind of better prepare us for that long holding on the floor. So whenever you're ready, feel free to kind of take a moment and start to come up onto your feet. This practice will also require a blanket or two. No rush in getting that right now. You might have that even lying around with you already. All right, so once you come to a nice standing position, I just want you to rotate through your wrists, wiggle your fingers, and then start to adjust some weight from left to right, right to left. Just start to notice how it feels in the body to add these small movements. Can you bend your knees? Can you kind of sway your hips as you begin to go side to side? Maybe even reach your arms out as you go from side to side. And then start to do the same thing, but start to bring the movement into the toes, into the balls of the feet, and then also back and towards the heels. So you might start to combine these movements, the side to side with this back to back motion, and even complete it in more of like a circular way. I like to kind of alternate between one side and the other. Feel free to do the same, or maybe even go a few rounds on one side, one direction, and then in your own kind of space and time, begin to go towards the other side. And then start to draw a little bit of core awareness here. So this upper body area, starting from the hips, even going towards the chest. And can you engage just a little bit? And then incorporate the breath too. Can you inhale? Can you exhale? And then you're gonna start to find a nice standing, more still position. Your feet can be about hip width, or if you'd like your big toes to be together, that's a great place. And we're coming into our mountain pose, so Tadasana here. Palms are gonna face forward. And I want you to relax into your toes, so starting with your big toe, and relaxing all the way down to your small little pinky toes down there. Notice the heels, and I want you to notice that little padding, that area below the big toe, so the ball of the foot, we often call it. And I want you to feel a little bit lighter there. And then begin to sway really ever so slightly and so slowly from side to side. Can you breathe? Notice your breath. And then I want you just to start to find that nice little happy medium place where you can begin to actually find some stillness. So feel energetic through the fingers. So we're reaching them out, but not to their fullest extension. So we're not trying to do our fullest reach here with the fingers, but feeling that they're definitely open. Spread wide. On your next inhale, I want you to nice and slowly bring your arms up, palms face in towards one another. As you then begin to bring the palms touching, and then exhale, bring your hands towards your heart. 2 more times, inhale, so that slight reach of the fingers, so you can feel the openness here. And then as the palms reach up and towards one another, you can then find some touch here, and then bring the hands down towards the heart. And 1 more time. So take it as you need. I might be going a little slow or a little fast for you. That's okay. And that exhale will bring yourself back down to that nice mountain pose. All right, so we're gonna switch up the arm placement here. I want you to take a nice big inhale, and then as you bring your arms up, palms are gonna face forward. And then I want you to bend your elbows, draw your elbows out, palms face forward still. Notice the shoulder blades here. So really trying to facilitate the movement. Inhale, feel the movement between the shoulder blades, and then exhale, draw the elbows out, cactus those arms. And again, we're feeling that stretch in the fingers here, just enough to notice, but not enough to where we feel like our fingers are as wide as they can be. And I want you to hold here. Notice if you can kind of engage through the belly, the low belly a little more, and even round out through the low back just a little bit. Notice how it feels in the feet. Can you relax a little more there and still begin to notice your breath? Inhale, reach the arms all the way up when you're ready, and then exhale, palms together and hands come towards the heart. You can adjust your stance if you need to just a little bit. Sometimes it feels good to come a little wider, and maybe even turn your toes out. Interlace through your fingers, press the base of your hands, your palms together, and just begin to go side to side, circling through the wrist here, noticing how that feels. So we took a little bit of noticing to the fingers, now we're doing a little through the wrist. And then I want you to face the left palm so it's facing towards you, and then take your right hand onto your fingers, and then take the fingers away from you. The palm is now going to face away. So your elbow, left elbow, can kind of be pressed ever so gently into maybe your chest or even into your side body here, whatever feels good for you. And then again, it's that idea of the palm is facing towards you, and then the opposite hand is grabbing the fingers gently and allowing them to come down. And you can do that on the other side whenever you're ready. Allow for a little rotation through the wrist here. And again, it's that ever so slight press of the arm into the side body, maybe even a little of the chest. And then from there, palm is facing in, hands come towards the fingers, and then as you draw the hands back, and feeling that nice stretch. So these are going to be subtle. For some of us, it might be a little more than subtle, and just want you to notice. Notice which one of those you may classify yourself in terms of what you're feeling here. And from there, nice and strong. Making your way towards the top of your mat if you're not already, and still in that nice mountain pose. I want you to go ahead and keep your left foot where it is and step your right foot back into a nice warrior one. So left toes pointing forward. I'm going to turn on my mat here, and your right foot is back. I like to create two lanes here. So left foot is on the left side, and then I walk my right foot out, nice little step here. And my right toes are going to be turned about a 45-degree angle. If you were in a room by chance, you might want to go towards that right front corner of your room. Hands can come towards your hips, and just a couple times, I want you to draw your left hip back, right hip forward, and then I want you to move your left hip forward, right hip back. And then left hip forward, right hip back, and then decide if you need to kind of change up your stance a little bit. So you can always go a little bit wider. You can always draw your front toes forward. And again, just a few times as you open up, and then of course, begin to close it off. And again, you want to incorporate the breath here as much as you can. Maybe each inhale, you begin to open, shift, notice what's going on. And then with each exhale, you begin to draw yourself back. And then eventually, I want you to find a nice place that's in between those two that feels nice. You might have to adjust your legs a little bit. And ideally, you want the hips shining forward, but it makes sense that your right hip might be a little off to the right a little. That's okay. Slight engagement of the glutes. And I want you to bring your palms out, fingers facing down. And a nice inhale, exhale here. I want you to press into the left foot, straighten through the leg. Inhale. And exhale, bend to the knee. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, bend. One more time. Inhale, straighten. Hold here on an exhale. So slight bend in your knees, left and right. Relaxation through the toes, but feeling grounded. Slight engagement of the core, but as you inhale, let the belly expand. Next, exhale, when you're ready, bend the knee. Bring the hands towards the belly here. Notice how when you inhale, your belly begins to expand. Nice stretch here. As you inhale, you begin to notice a little more stability and strength throughout the core, throughout even this lower body, into the hips and into the legs. Inhale. And then as you exhale, bring the arms out, palms face out towards the front. And then inhale, breathe into the belly, bring the hands back to the belly. Exhale, engagement through the core as the arms reach out. Inhale, belly reaches out, hands meet the belly. Inhale and exhale. Arms release out, staying where they are. Push into the left foot as you straighten the leg, creating a soft bend in both of your knees. Allow yourself to breathe. Step forward with your right foot, coming into a mountain pose, rocking from side to side, noticing how left feels in comparison to right. Not necessarily trying to change anything or match one side to the other, but just that nice little notion of noticing. Before we then decide to go on towards the other side, we'll then keep our right foot towards the top of our mat, and we'll step our left foot back. And the same idea here is creating two lanes. So the idea that the right foot is going to be onto the right side of the mat and the left foot's going to be towards the left side. And once you get there, you can place your hands onto your hips and even notice how this feels here. You might have to widen your stance. And that idea that the back foot, if you were looking at the space that you're in terms of a square, can you bring it towards the left corner of your room, of your space? Nice, generous bend in the knee. It doesn't have to be necessarily stacked over the ankle. And then from here, it's that idea of drawing the left hip back, so you're kind of opening up to the long edge of your mat, and then you're drawing the hips. And so you want to do a nice controlled movement, so you can still feel the breath, you can still notice any sensations that happen to be going on throughout the hips, even the low back. And this can kind of allow you to change up how you move. Maybe you notice a little bit of tugging or tension in the low back, which then allows you to change the position of your feet. Maybe you notice that this is a little bothersome for the front of the hips into the hip flexors. Maybe even it feels a little tight across the pelvic floor, and maybe you don't twist or open as much. And then I want you to start to find that nice little middle place where you can find a nice comfortable warrior one. Your palms are going to face forward as the fingers point down. And then from there, I want you to go ahead and straighten into the front leg, slight bend in the knee, and just allow yourself to breathe. Feel some strength here, notice. If you can relax into your toes, but still feel this sense of grounding here. And then bend into your knee. And exhale, press, straighten the leg. Inhale, bend the knee. And exhale, straighten. Bend the knee and hold. And bring the hands towards the belly. So same thing as we did before. And you can start at any moment that you feel is good for you. I want you to feel the expansion of the belly as you inhale. And then as you exhale, the hands open out. Feel the strength and stability throughout the low body. Inhale, breathe into the hands, breathe into the belly. And then as you exhale, feel the strength and stability, creating a little bit more ability to create some balance here. And just doing this a few times. All right, go ahead, exhale out, bring your arms out to the side, and then press into that right foot, feeling nice and strong here. Still slight bend into both knees. Still feeling tall and lifted through the chest, but it's enough to where you notice not going to your fullest expression. Bend into your back knee, step forward, coming to a nice mountain pose, rock from side to side. I know those calves are likely feeling a little strength there. Find a nice position here in your mountain pose. Take a nice big inhale, reach the arms up, bring the hands towards the heart. Find of moment, maybe the eyes closed or the eyes open, and just begin to notice any sensations felt throughout the body here. Acknowledge and honor any thoughts that may arise. Can you continue to breathe freely with each inhale into your belly, allowing it to expand at its fullest, but yet not feeling forced? Can you continue to sense the stability and strength with each exhale as your body actually begins to engage these center muscles throughout the core, throughout the upper, and even parts of the lower body? Eyes can stay closed or eyes can go ahead and come open. I just want to move into a nice little gentle tree posture, and knowing that you can move towards the wall at any point in time. I want you to start to ground through your left foot, creating a slight bend in your left knee. I want you to feel the activation here of the left thigh, and then a slight engagement of the left glute, so that left side of the butt there. And then I want you to go ahead and draw your right heel in towards your ankle. And for today, maybe staying exactly here. Slight bend in the knee, drawing the right knee out, and feeling the activation now into both sets of your glutes here. I guess your left and right, not both sets, but just left and right. And then just noticing how that feels. Can you breathe into your belly freely? And then begin to transition going on towards the other side. So again, take your time. There's absolutely no rush in getting where you need to go, as we've got the time. So the heel draws in somewhere towards the ankle, towards the leg, calf. And then as your left toes point down, pressing onto the mat, you feel the sturdiness here between the right leg. And you can create a little bit more softness throughout the left toes in relation to how they feel on the ground, and then create a little bit more strength on the right side. And again, just noticing any differences or just any sensations occurring. And then from there, when you go ahead, step out nice and wide here, step your toes out so they're pointing towards the corners of your mat. And then from there, you may use a block, you may even use a chair or any of your furniture or anything that's really helpful around you. I want you to then engage through your core here. So take a nice big inhale, and then as you exhale, your hands are towards your heart, and I want you to bend your knees, draw them out, and begin to lower yourself all the way down. So your hands may come towards the floor. Like I said, you may grab a hold of a block or two, maybe even a book, and go ahead and place that underneath the glutes here. And you could even stack up a couple blankets if you wanted to. And you might even, with blankets, just keep it so that it's a nice, not necessarily that you're not resting on it, but almost still keeping the engagement so that you're not placing all of your weight down onto the blanket, but you can definitely notice and feel the blanket beneath you, if that kind of makes sense. But then knowing at any point in time when you need a little bit of a breather, or you'd like to kind of rest those muscles, that you can place your weight, you can come seated back onto the floor. There is no requirement saying that you have to do exactly as I say, exactly how I do. So just know and kind of honor that throughout all the practice, throughout really all aspects of your life if you can. All right, so nice deep squat. Hands can come down, like I said, or hands are at the heart. And I just want you to notice, I just want you to allow yourself to breathe. And then from there, we're gonna place our hands down onto the mat if they're not there already. And then depending on where you are on your mat, you're going to step and walk your hands. So you step your feet back, your knees back, and you'll bring your hands forward. And what I'd like for us to do is transition into a nice modified side plank. So I want our right leg is gonna kick out towards the side. Our left leg is gonna come long on towards the mat. So right fingertips facing towards the front of the mat. Your left foot is towards the back of the mat, extended long. And your right hand is nice and grounded here. So your left hand is gonna stay onto your ribs, side body. And I just want you to notice where your hand is onto your hip, and then where it transitions up towards your rib, and see if you can kind of create a little bit more length in between the area where the hip is and then the rib. And then bring your arm all the way up towards the top. If it starts to feel like it's a little too much, bring your hand gently on towards your head. You can even rest it to the back of your head if you wanted to. Again, a great place to stay could be right here. And I just want you to feel this stretch here. And then we're gonna come into a nice modified plank, but I want you to keep your left leg extended and tuck the toes and feel a nice stretch in the calf here. So we do a lot of strengthening and definitely a lot of noticing and bringing sensation and awareness to the calf, that's for sure. And so let this movement be still, or let yourself rock back and forth. Keep a nice, stable position for the hands. And know that you could always come down to the forearms if your wrists are feeling a little. This is also a nice sensation builder for the shoulders too. All right, so take your time, no rush. Bring your left knee back in. We're gonna move into that modified side plank. This time the left leg is gonna kick out off to the mat and your right leg is gonna extend long. If you're like me, you did the side first, you're doing the opposite side, and that is okay. So left hand is down, fingers are pointed forward, and I want you to bring your right hand onto your hip. And then I want you to bring your hand up to this area where you notice that your hip kind of stops and then your ribs start. And then can you create a little bit more of a stretch here? And then eventually you'll kind of decide where you'd like your hand to be, your arm. So you might extend it all the way towards the top. You might bring your hand to your back of your head. And again, just kind of notice what feels good. Nice stretch here before moving into that nice calf stretch. So the hands are going to come down. You're going to then point both the toes back, but tuck your right toes as you then draw the heel back. Allow a nice placement of the hands if you need to. Keep a slight bend in your elbows. And then just notice any sensation you might be feeling here. And then from here, we're going to bring our knees in. So we're coming onto all fours. And shoulders are stacked, hips are stacked, and I might even advise walking your knees back just like a hair or two, maybe even an inch. And nice and strong here. I want you to walk your hands out a little bit wider than you would, and I want you to shift your weight forward, draw your chin down, head's heavy, gaze in between the thighs. Breathe. Slight bend in the elbows, head heavy, neck is nice and relaxed. Toes are tucked or tops of the feet are flat. Tuck your toes if they're not already. Knees can be in as close together as you need or far apart. And I want you to sit back on towards your heels and bring your hands on toward your thighs. And then engaging through this midsection here, so think about kind of the hips into the belly and maybe even up towards the ribs. I want you to inhale, lift through your hips first. I want you to engage your glutes, and then I want you to release back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale one more time. Exhale, release. Hands on towards the mat, untuck your toes. Flow through a few cat and cows here. So your inhale can draw your belly down, your hips and shoulders up as your gaze comes forward, and maybe even up. As you round your back like you would imagine a cat would, I want you to press the spine towards the ceiling, draw your chin in. And then inhale once again, come back into your cow pose. So you can move through this as fast or as slow as you'd like. If there's any other movements, working through the sides, pressing the hips out, the ribs out, right and left, feel free. And then eventually you'll walk yourself in, so knees towards the hands as you swing your feet out towards the sides. Bring yourself seated onto your mat with your knees bent and your feet flat or flat-ish. Heels can be grounded here if that feels good. And I want you to bring your hands to the backs of your thighs. And then I want you to lengthen through your arms as you draw your upper body back. Nice and strong here. Lift through your chest. And then I want you to go ahead and draw yourself forward, lifting, chest draws forward. And then hands are still placed onto the thighs. You could even grab onto the pants, or hands could even come towards the shins. I want you to straighten through the arms As your body, upper body here begins to guide itself back, still hands placed, knowing that your feet can be flat or it can be your heels grounded. And then drawing up with the chest, come forward, and maybe even drape your hands onto the shins. We're gonna do that one more time, so take it as you need, hand placement of your choice. You're then straightening through the arms to allow the upper body to release back. Feet are grounded, or at least the heels. Keeping the chest lifted. And then from there, drawing yourself forward, straightening through your left and right leg, massaging through the knees here. And bringing your hands behind you, fingers pointed. They can be towards you, they can even be towards the sides. I want you to bend your knees, bring your feet flat. Feet might even be more wide than what you're used to. And then you might even find yourself walking your hands back. So we're gonna come into a nice reverse table here, just 3 times. So when you're ready, take a nice big inhale. Exhale, press into the feet and hands. Keep a slight bend in your elbows and just lift your hips up. And then exhale, lower down when you're ready. So you may come up as far as you can, as you want. That may look a little something like this. You may be about halfway, maybe almost reaching up into full expression and then long down. Or like I said, in my full expression may not look like everyone else's, and that's kind of the point, is that yoga can look so different on every different body type, and I think that's kind of the point. So just using this as a kind of a light grayscale guideline. And then I want you to go ahead, come down, bottoms of the feet together, and just an ever so gentle forward fold with a nice butterfly legs. So not trying to draw your forehead towards your toes, towards your feet, not trying to draw your hands under the legs, but just simply that nice gentle motion of that. All right, I want you to go ahead and grab any of the props or anything that you might need for your guided relaxation. My favorite position personally is by bringing something behind the head, behind the neck, and then also bringing something underneath the knees or the legs. A second favorite of mine, instead of using a blanket, is a nice bolster if you happen to have one, or by simply keeping the knees bent and the feet flat. So again, like I said, you may look something like this with a pillow behind the head or the neck. You may use a pillow or a bolster underneath the knees just to kind of lift your knees up just a little bit. It can feel nice for the low back. Or if you'd like, you can bend your knees and bring your feet flat. It's a nice, great place for your back too. And maybe you prefer to stay seated for this guided meditation, or maybe you've got a chair handy or a space that you prefer to use. And I just want you to feel free in getting into whatever feels good for you. And then taking the next few moments here, time to settle into this posture, knowing that there are no restrictions once we get started. If there's at any point in time that you feel like you need to move, change your position completely, you're more than welcome. I just ask that you try to come back into your breath as you decide to make these movements and these changes, and try not to have any expectations in terms of how still you want to be or how many breaths you'd like to get in. So just find this place where you can kind of just be ready for all that is to come. You might move your shoulder blades closer together or further apart. You might even squeeze your hands, your fingers into a nice fist, kind of creating a little bit of tension if that feels good. And then I want you to inhale and exhale. Allow yourself to sink a little bit further down into the surface that you happen to be on. Not only feeling the surface physically, but also in this way of support, so emotionally or even mentally. And And eyes can stay closed throughout the remaining part of the meditation, or you're more than welcome to keep a soft gaze and maybe even a small focal point somewhere forward or up ahead. And start to notice your breath here in the natural ways that it begins to inhale and exhale without any force or any guidance from you. Allow your breath to feel effortless as it transitions from each inhale and each exhale. Notice any areas where there is a little tension or a little force, and extend your exhales a little. Understanding we can sense our stress through our breath. Whether our breathing is a little fast or a little shallow, or maybe heavy in the belly, maybe even in the neck. And just beginning to notice where in your body you tend to breathe the most. No judgment, not trying to change anything. Do you notice the area of the ribs? The area of the belly, even down in towards the hips? Do you notice the area of the chest and the shoulders and the neck? Allow your breath to flow with ease from each inhale, those spaces in between, and your exhale. Notice any tension or force, any guidance that may be happening. And can you let that go? Notice the connection of the body to the surface. Notice any areas where you can create more space, create less tension. And then letting go of the expectation with each breath, each inhale, and each exhale. Can you soften throughout your glutes and low back just a little more, creating more space for support? Notice the breath here and how your exhales can be a little bit longer than your inhales. Again, without force, but this natural sense of support throughout the body. Any moments or feelings, sensations of tension, can you create more space to allow more support? each inhale and each exhale to flow without force from one to the next. Relax throughout the face, acknowledging any places where you can invite a little more calmness, a little more relaxation. Maybe even imagining your favorite place, the things that make this place your favorite, the people you may see, the feelings you get when being there, the emotions you experience, the thoughts that arise. Where in your body do you feel this thought most? The warmth of the belly, the shining of the heart, maybe a nice little smirk or a smile, but just where do you feel this moment, this place within the body? Can you breathe a little more, creating just a slight more movement? I invite you to stay in this place for as long as you can. Your schedule, your body, your environment allows. The effortlessness of your breath, those inhales and those exhales flowing together seamlessly. The support felt beneath you, around you, within you. Continue to breathe.